Hello, I'm Jean Harvey, professor at the Graduate School of Business, University of Quebec at Montreal. My topic today is complex service delivery processes, strategy to operations. This is the title of my book just published by American Society for Quality. A simple service is like taking a cab. As much as I can have respect for the driver, respect for the difficult job, long hours that he puts in, I do not defer to his competence. I will not hesitate in suggesting that he takes a different route. If I'm in a city that I know and that I know a better way, even in cities that I don't know, I will not hesitate to say, why don't you take by over there, and insistently at times. There is not the gap of knowledge that typifies complex services. A knowledge gap between the expert and his client means power. Knowledge is power. And power can be used to serve the customer, abused to serve the interest of the provider. These services are the bulk, the essence of what remains of our competitive advantage in advanced economies. Manufacturing is gone. Gone. What remains is things like design product, market product, develop new concept. These are services. Their output is not a tangible good, it's a concept, it's a design, it's a marketing plan, it's an action plan. A lot of the value added in manufacturing lies in these complex services provided by experts. Over many years working in this area, I found that there are critical dimensions to these services. My job here today is to bring out these stark contrasts between various polar dimensions of complex services and how managers trying to get and maintain a competitive advantage should deal with those to maximize the value created for the customers and for the experts as well. Under the heading complex service, I include a variety of service where experts have a knowledge advantage over the customer, from computer support, telecom services, to insurance, banking, consulting, health, engineering, law services, and others. This is the case. And they have common points, and you can learn by looking outside your own service to see the paradigms of other industries. Our paradigm often evolved over time and really is an historical artifact rather than appropriate to the current competitive environment we're in. By looking only inside, we are stuck in the NIH syndrome, not invented here. If you really want to take a radically different view, look at other services, and this is part of what I'll try to do in this video and in the book in general. Open up your mind to think laterally. Not to say that the others are better, but yes, they are different. They've lived through different history, and some of them are more competitive. Keep asking yourself throughout these examples, throughout the book, if you read it, why are we functioning that way? Why are they? Why not us? And don't settle for the easy answer. I will do this through a number of examples, metaphors, to bring out these dimensions. I will explain the example, then generate the dimensions and recapitulate towards the end. At 7 a.m. on May 15, 1989, Southern Pacific 7551 slowly started down from the Southern California mountain range towards San Bernardino, 2,000 feet down, 24 miles away. The train was 69 cars long with 4 engines up front and 2 engines at the back. Frank Holland was the engineer. His colleague at the back was Lawrence Hill. As they started down, they had an unknown liability that was going to prove fatal. The train speeded up slowly on the long way down, and Holland started applying dynamic braking capabilities up to 10 psi. The train slowed down a little bit, but slowly gathered up speed again. Holland responded by putting on more pressure, and the train responded the same way, and so on. The train starts up, and you're down at maximum 26 psi. At 45 miles per hour is the point where Holland started to panic and called his colleague for the first time. He found out that Hill had already applied all the dynamic braking power that he had in his two engines, and the static power of the 69 cars as well, maximum locked. That's when Holland made a call. This is Southern Pacific 7551. We have a slight problem. We may not be able to stop. Train reached 90, which is the maximum that the speedometer indicates, reached the bottom of the curve, and of course derailed at the bottom. Result, 4 deaths, $12 million damage. Miraculously, the 2 engineers survived. At that time, Southern Pacific's annual loss was about 100 million, and they had about 10 derailment a year. So there you go. This accident is very well documented in Quality Wars by Jeremy Main. Let's back off a little bit here. What was the bubble? It started when whoever was filling the order form for Trona didn't know the weight of it and assumed that it would be lighter than cement and put it at 60 ton rather than 75 for cement. It was a guesstimate, but he didn't write down that it was a guesstimate. The number was factored in, and eventually Holland thought that the train was 50% lighter than it was in actuality. The 2 engineers never met, never talked, never discussed. As Holland was putting together his train, he found a locomotive was not working, didn't have a procedure to know what to do with it. Hill at the back also found that he didn't have full braking capability, but there was no procedure, put it on. He assumed someone had already reported it. Anyway, assumed is the word here. They don't talk, they start. All these events are known to someone, but nobody's got the complete picture of what's happening. And especially not the operator who are responsible. I mean, in other words, the problem started building up way before. And certainly it's easy to put the fault on the last person at the accident. But it is a cultural problem. Bubbles have the habit of bursting. As someone said that they are like holes in Swiss cheese. You know, a hole in a slice, no problem. Hole in 2 slices, no problem. Hole in 5 slices, as long as they don't align. But eventually they will, and this is where the problem will happen. Our problem here is a corporate culture that does not react until there is something major that's happening. I have a hole in my slice, but nothing ever happened, so I'll leave it there. Call this a lack of systemic vision. If I'm an expert, I typically use that power to isolate myself and not have to adjust to the whims, what I perceive to be the whims of others. And I can do it successfully the more power I have. Well, this is a dramatic service failure. But service failure in everyday life in complex services occurs every day because of alignment of a number of holes like this. The silo structure of our organization is killing us. Cross-functional teams, process owners, process teams, process dashboard. Structures to think systemically in the organizations are required to slowly shift the culture towards a customer-focused quality culture. Let's now compare and contrast the situation I just described with another transportation situation, this time in the air. 20 years later. We are May 15, 2009. We're at LaGuardia Airport. U.S. Airways 1549 with Captain Chesley Sullenberger, Second Officer Jeffrey Skiles, his co-pilot. They take off from LaGuardia at 3:15. 2 minutes after takeoff, they hit a flock of Canada geese. 2 per engine, sudden silence in the cockpit.
Cactus 15.9, turn left lane 270.
Sullenberger, my aircraft. Skiles, your aircraft. Start engine, checklist. LaGuardia, hit a flock of Canada geese. Have to go back. Discipline. Training. Judgment now. What can I do? What are my options? Information coming in from the airport, but he decides. This is the judgment side of things. And then kicks in the creativity side. Boats, river, Washington Bridge, judgment, assessing the capability to get there, and if he can land close to where the boats are, should get quick rescue. There, what you're seeing is the nice mix of discipline, brace for impact, 3 cabin personnel knowing exactly what to do, judgment, years of experience. What are my options right here and now? What can I do? And latitude to act and operate. Before takeoff, contrary to what happened in the training sample, 2 pilot co-pilot become co-operational. Checklist. This, that. They've never met before. Shake hand physically, and then shake hand operationally, by making sure that they use the same words to describe the same thing, that they can, with the back and forth, operate this complex technology. The expert that they are, after 15-20 minutes, are now co-operational and can face up successfully to some of the most challenging events that can happen in airline flights. Those extremes allow us to see what works and what doesn't, what it takes to produce success, what it takes to end up in dramatic failure. Critical triangle to manage in complex services. Discipline, learn it, know how to do it exactly, do it unflinchingly without variation. Judgment, use your knowledge, your experience, situation that you've seen to gauge specific facts and make the right decision. Creativity, look around you for what is possible, and then intuition kicks in at that time. I think the 2 examples illustrate how some organizations manage to get the best out of their experts, individually and collectively. The cockpit, the aircraft cockpit, is a fabulous metaphor for operational excellence in complex services. Southern Pacific 7551 and U.S. Airways 1549. A good enough quality culture slowly takes hold as sloppy work without immediate consequence is tolerated. The silo mindset hides the potentially devastating systemic effect of these defects. Striking and maintaining the appropriate balance between and judiciously using discipline, creativity, and judgment are very challenging endeavors.